Jodi. Pardon? Yes.
I was so busy trying to make this not look funny that I didn't even come in when they welcomed me. Isn't that nice? So I guess if it looks funny, it doesn't matter. Hi, I'm Jodi, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to be here. I love the atmosphere of the building and everybody that comes. And when I tweet. Does anybody else on Twitter? I still use Twitter, and I say the nicest things about this beautiful place. And I'm hoping it brings more people because, you know, when you prepare to speak, you think about what I do, what you're going to wear, because that grounds me. This is what I tell my husband when I buy new shoes. It grounds me. I'm very grounded, you should know. It's this atmosphere, I'm not ever worried about what you think or anything like that. And I go to very corporate events where I have to dress more corporately, and I worry a little, just this much. But here, never, because everybody just comes as they are. So congratulations to all of you. Can you hear me all right? All right. So we are going to be talking about wisdom and confidence, which it's kind of a moving target because wisdom is amazing and it stays, but confidence wavers, right? Depending on what you're going through. So we are having technical difficulties. We have this printer. Does anybody have a printer? Apparently nobody has printers anymore. Nobody has oh, thank God, there's somebody here. Seriously, last night, 1 a.m, we're trying to get something, I'm doing printing. We have brought our printer back to life many times. Not this time. Funeral services tomorrow afternoon. So I'm using my phone as my grandma used to say, like the young people do. I'm using my phone like the young people do. So I am a medium, and I see energy. So I see all of your energy. It's like bouncing, your thoughts kind of bounce above your head, but your energy kind of goes like this. And what I love about doing this work is then I see your energy rise and rise, so you become more connected to that higher part of yourself. You feel more peaceful, more grounded as the day goes on, just in general, because you're here, but then you listen to the speaker and you're open to all the goodies that come. And the nice thing about that is it's a great way to live. The other thing is you have to always make sure that when your energy's open and climbing, that you do something to protect your energy. And I would be very surprised if anybody here didn't understand that. So I like to do different protection, I don't really like the word exercise, practices, right? I have exercise-induced asthma, so I just don't work out, because who wants to have asthma? So I just do it that way. So I don't like exercise, the word exercise. I actually do exercise. So if you would all bear with me. All right, now you're going to see that I have my phone. See, I'm in this decade right now. So to start out with, it helps if you uncross your legs and your arms. And you take a very, very deep breath in through your nose and then out through your nose. And you just do that a couple times, listening, and you can close your eyes if you wish, listening to the sound of your breath. Every thought, every cell, every breath moving in and through you is filled with light. May the energy of grace, joy, and pure self-acceptance move in and through you and surround you in its warm glow as you awaken to the power of your own light. Okay, so now inhale and exhale again through your nose. Gently shake your hands sort of down to the ground and imagine all the leftovers of anything you've touched that you don't want to be touching anymore, all the thoughts that you don't need anymore, things that you thought other people were thinking at you. Let that just come down into the ground. Now raise your hands slowly without knocking the person out next to you. Raise your hands in the air. And then just go like this, they say, like climbing a ladder. And then twirl your arms a little bit. And then just float your hands back down and rest them on your lap. and look to see if you're resting yourself palms up or down. If your palms are up, you unconsciously are open to receiving new energy, and if your palms are down, that's all right too. That means you're conserving your own energy. So lift your shoulders, do a couple of twirls both directions, and then let them very gently fall. And then lift them again higher, and then let them gently fall so you're not wearing them as earrings anymore. Then close your eyes and listen to yourself breathe for another round of breaths. Imagine that every thought that you have, everything that you say, is starting to sparkle with light. Now press your feet into the ground. Eyes closed helps a lot. And to yourself, say your full name to yourself 3 times. Now press your feet into the ground again, and as you do, imagine that it's tapping that amazing Mother Earth energy, and that beautiful energy starts to come up through your body, filling you with its beauty and its light. And then on the next inhale, you breathe again, and a white light that comes from the universe, and it is divine, comes up from the core of the earth, moves up through the soles of your feet, moves all the way up through every cell, filling your body with light, resting in a space if you need a little extra light. It's all healing divine energy. And as you inhale, the light comes up more, and it comes up through your body, and as you exhale, it comes out the top of your head and surrounds you in an egg-shaped glow. So as you inhale, the light comes up from the earth, and as you exhale, it goes out the top of your head and surrounds you in an egg-shaped glow. Now put your right hand on your heart and gently press 3 times. And imagine a beautiful green iridescent light coming out from your heart into your hand, back from your hand into your heart, and then out again into the room. You can rest your hands down, press your feet into the ground, and know that when you inhale, automatically the light from the core of the earth comes up, that divine energy, and then as you exhale, it comes out the top of your head, and that egg-shaped glow, nothing can get through that but love, and you can open your eyes. I ask this every time, but does anybody feel like they're shorter? Because when I do this, I'm coming back into my body, so I'm like, wow, I'm not as tall as I thought I was, because I'm used to floating right up here. So if you have that sensation, or if the colors look brighter, or you just feel more solid, it's a great thing to do before you go into a meeting, make a phone call that you're a little nervous about, even before you go to a grocery store. I notice that people get a little bit wonky at grocery stores, and I think part of it is we want to buy things maybe we can't afford. That's at least why I sometimes get that way. And people's energy bounces everywhere, so when you do this, you're protected from the bounces that aren't in the highest of light, right? All right, so I always think a lot about the subject. Some people might just be able to really just speak and hardly ever do any research on it. They just know. For me, it's about tuning into who's going to be here and what everybody needs to hear to help them become even closer to that universal light, and to know that you're close to that universal light, because that's really the biggest part of it, isn't it? So wisdom, in my experience, is the application of accumulated knowledge, intellect, illumination, including spiritual enlightenment. It allows for self-reflection and results in sound decisions. So qualities associated with a wise person include the ability to demonstrate empathy and compassion, self-actualization, self-awareness, and integrity. People who are wise maintain a sense of calm during a storm and lead through their senses and gained knowledge. Confidence, anybody ever have a fight with confidence and lose? Is a belief in oneself and one's skills, knowledge, abilities, belief in this, and a willingness to apply them. A willingness and the ability to apply them, because we might be really brilliant and know what to do, but if we don't have the confidence to apply it, it's just sitting there. So if you're in that space of feeling confident, you have the ability to step up and take action even during times of fear. You have the willingness to learn and to be wrong. That to me was the biggest one. And start again. And the commitment to speak kindly to and about oneself. People who are confident stand strong enough in their knowledge to take a chance and be okay with coming in last. Insecurity is when we try to love ourselves from the outside in, and self-confidence is when we love ourselves from the inside out. Wise confidence is all of the above, with a highlight on the ability to maintain perspective. It's also being self-aware, self-assured, and essentially not arrogant. Other key components of confidence and wisdom are honorable, ethical action, humility, flexibility. Wise confidence is tempered with an awareness of boundaries and perimeters. So the thing about wisdom is, have you ever met a baby and you look in that baby's eyes and you can see that they're wise? We're born with some wisdom from our past lives. No two ways about it. And it grows as we grow. The confidence piece comes and goes, depending on what's going on. If you remember that you have the ability to do things, your energy shifts and you have more of that ability. So I'm going to relate this to something that I've gone through. As a medium and a psychic, I see pictures. I hear some words. I feel things really, really strongly. So all my five senses, it overlaps. My intuition overlaps over all of those. I may sit next to somebody or look at somebody and be very clear that they just held a baby, that their sister just had, or that somebody just crossed over. I might see that person because I'm a medium, so I can see that. But if I don't have the confidence to say it, it just sits there. And it seems so strange, right? That I could think of a name or stand next to somebody and get that. I have to have the confidence to be able to say it. Because if I said to you, well, you might be getting a new job and you might, well, maybe, you're not going to be confident in the information I'm sharing. So I have to be confident when I share that information and feel that light, feel my connection with what I'm going to talk about. That's confidence in action, when you know what you know and you're willing to share it. And you're willing to be wrong. That's confidence in action. Wisdom helps you know that it's okay to be wrong. Sometimes it feels good to be wrong and be able to say, oh, I was wrong. Because it releases this part of us that thinks, well, we should always be right. Who's always right? And who wants to always be right? Ew. So the wisdom, for me, the wisdom is of the soul. And it's of the personality, too, because when you start to be in touch with that wisdom, which has something to do with your illumination, you become wiser and wiser and wiser. So a wise person sees somebody trip and wants to go be compassionate and help. Somebody who isn't in touch with their wisdom might think it's hilarious that somebody tripped. They're not bad. That's just where they are because they're afraid of tripping. So the wisdom says you're laughing because you're afraid of tripping. Confidence says I'm going to go help that person who's just tripped because I've been there. That combination of wisdom and confidence. I was listening to some of the things that people have said about wisdom and confidence when I go on YouTube to watch these, and I love it. I love everybody's different take on what it is, because everything is perspective, really. You know, what you see, you're seeing it through the lens of your own eye. You're seeing it through the filter of your experience in your life. That's how you're seeing it. Anybody, I've talked about this before, coffee filters. Remember coffee filters when they were like paper? Your personality and everything you've been through is like that filter. And maybe it's pink, maybe it's blue, maybe it feels kind of dark, mucky brown for whatever reason that you're going through. Everything you see comes through that. And when you have a reading with somebody, remember that, because that's true for that psychic and that medium too. It all comes through their perspective. Your life is through your perspective. The more confidence you gain and the more wisdom you earn, the lighter that filter becomes, or the quicker it goes from a mucky brown to a pale pink, because you're willing to do the work that it takes to get there. I'm old enough to say I remember very well the 70s. Do you remember the t-shirts, I'm okay, you're okay? That kind of stuff? We should start wearing those again. But people's consciousness really started to, like, it was okay to say out loud that you're raising your consciousness. It was okay to be that person, thanks to the 60s, right? Just to say it, just to speak it, just to live it is something. Because we're all going to go through stuff where we're going to need to tap our confidence and tap our wisdom. Everybody does. How are you going to go through that? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to allow that to be? And I feel like one of the biggest things is, for most people, is the willingness to do it. Because it doesn't really matter how long it takes. It matters that you do it. It matters that you say to yourself, I'm in a horrible space because this happened, and I'm going to work all these things through because I want to get to the other side where I feel more light than heavy. Because it's more fun to live life that way, no matter what. No matter what. Which doesn't mean that you put yourself down if you're in a place where you feel heavy. That means you say to yourself, I'm in a place that it feels heavy. Here I am, feeling heavy. Okay, now what do? You reach for the thought that's a little bit lighter and nicer than the thought you had before. So, let's say you're in a grouchy mood and you are at the grocery store, and so you're one of those people that's shooting out that yucky vibe, and you're not really conscious of it because you just need food and you need to get back to your place because you want to work through whatever's going on, or maybe you don't feel well, you have a cold. So what do? Do you pretend that you're in a good mood? Doesn't really work anyway. You get in and out, but you think to yourself, well, here it is. Here's my mood. Here it is. And that person that just drove like a jack something, I'm going to flip that around to say they didn't mean to drive like that. Because that's a nicer thought. Somebody bangs your cart with their cart, and you think, you careless so-and-so, and then you look and it's like a kid. Or a mom trying to juggle her kids. You're like, oops. So you change it to, not really a nice person in training. If you can do that, seriously, if you can do that, it changes your energy. Now, it might be easy to say that, you might think, as somebody that hasn't gone through anything, but everybody here has gone through something, and I've talked about this before. I've had a cancer diagnosis in 2021 in August. Thank God I'm cancer-free. I remain cancer-free. But I have veins that are hard to poke for blood, and when you have that diagnosis, they're poking you a lot, all the time. And the nicest people tried to poke, and they didn't really get in. So instead of thinking, are you kidding me, which is kind of what was coming up, when yet another person came in, I thought, look at how they sparkle. They really, really want to do this right. And by the fourth poke, I said, nope, get the ultrasound machine. I'm not doing this anymore. But I chose to think, look at that person's really nice. And it wasn't because I was trying to win favor, because when you're in that kind of a space and you know you're just about to be diagnosed with breast cancer, you're not. But I wanted to reach for the nicer or less grouchy thought. To me, that's wisdom. And I tapped it during a really difficult time. That's wisdom. When you can tap into your wisdom, you can also tap into your intuition, because that wisdom raises your vibration. Happiness raises your vibration. Joy, appreciation, being in a place, being open to your own wisdom. Because when you sink in to feel your own wisdom, you're sinking into your spirit too. So I believe that wisdom and intuition they're buddies. You access one, you get the other. And it feels really good to do that. Every single day we make a choice about how we feel. Every second we make a choice about how we're going to process how we feel and how we're going to move through things. You know, we live in this amazing climate that's winter one day and it's summer the next. And I feel like we all kind of feel that way anyway, no matter what the weather is going on. But if you can say to yourself, I have what I need to make the decisions I need to be strong and to be wise and to get through these things, that's that confidence. And then you do. And then you do. So I'm on a television show called Twin Cities Live. That show has been on for 15 years. 15 years. It's a great show. It's an upper, you know, if you want to feel, it's like it's food, fashion, and fun, but it just raises your vibe. And the people that are hosting it are actually genuinely very, very kind, not an act. They're very, very kind and funny. Even funnier, actually, because, you know, sometimes you can't say certain things on TV. And I watch this, and now I've lost my train of thought because somebody's dead person with a very pronounced limp just ran in right through my body. This happens to mediums. Anybody have this happen to you? Where like a spirit will come right through. Happens to me almost every time I'm here. Takes my thought, literally, takes my thought and dashes with it. And since I'm not doing those kind of readings, I have to tell this nice person who I feel like could be coming from right here, I can't talk to you right now. And thanks so much for taking my thought. Now my train is gone. But I'll pick it up again because I have confidence. So the show has been on for 15 years. And when I started going on it, it was an exercise in confidence to get on television and talk about something that a lot of people don't understand, intuition. And to show it, showcase it. And there were people there that even worked there that weren't as open to it as they are now. I had to have the confidence, even if I was feeling like, oh, what if something happens and I burp? You know, like you have these weird things that you think, what if my nose itches while I'm doing a reading? And then you say to yourself, doesn't matter, because I'm working with the universe and I'm going to be confident while I do it. And when that confidence showed my abilities, because I was willing to sidestep feeling so insecure, my abilities shone, which means all of everybody's abilities shone, because I'm standing there for everybody to say everybody's intuitive. This is how it works. This is how I showcase it. So that for me was really difficult. I have clients that have gone through things where they're speaking in front of literally thousands of people, or they're speaking in front of one camera that is thousands of people. And how do you tap that confidence? Because you want to watch somebody that's like this, or do you want to watch somebody who actually is in the groove of what they're saying, and they're radiating that? But you're the same way when you check out at that grocery store, when you go to work and you're interacting with people. People love that confidence, and it's contagious. Your good mood, your confidence, your intuition, all those good things are very contagious. Does that mean the other stuff can be too? Yes. But when you do that grounding and you keep in your own space, you're not as vulnerable to other people's stuff. You just stay in your own space. You're vulnerable to your own. And then you start to work on your stuff, right? So in your work, haven't you had to tap your confidence? And isn't it your wisdom that helps you get there? Seriously. No? I can see the bubbles on top of your head. You guys are thinking about it, but not many people are saying anything. I can say, I believe that's true. And the weird thing about confidence is, it isn't what you look like, but it is how you feel about how you look. So buy shoes because it grounds you, and do things before you go somewhere that make you feel good. Drink that cup of tea. Take an extra minute to do that breathing exercise. Eat that cookie. Whatever it is that makes you feel good, do it, because your body's responding to that, and so is your mind, and so is your spirit. When you guys were growing up, did anybody talk about intuition? I mean, I think that the younger parents now are talking about it more, but nobody talked about it in my household. It was, in fact, definitely didn't want to talk about dead people, because, I don't know, my grandma used to whisper, and I used to wonder if they all thought, don't you know your person's dead? Like they're standing next to you, and they're dead. because there's like this somber atmosphere around that. But the thing is, if you don't talk about it, how do you learn about it? I dove in. I went inside. Even at 4, I went inside to look for evidence of what I was seeing and how true it was. That's confidence building. So when you know something and you feel it intuitively, you don't have to act on it unless it's a dire situation and you need to at the moment. Wait to see what happens with it. You have a gut feeling about something? Wait to see. Write it down. Write down how you felt, physically how you felt, what pictures came into your head, what was the general atmosphere of that. And then follow up and see if it indeed that was an insight that came to fruition. The more you do that, the more confidence you have in your own intuition. So it's wise to pay attention to it. And your confidence grows if you take notes and see how right on you are. That's how you grow that confidence. You grow your own confidence. You can have parents and people that love you talk to you about it all the time and tell you how great you are, which is wonderful. We should all have people in our lives that do that. But if we're not feeling it, we're just acting, which is fine. You can act, but the confidence is what you earn. And the wisdom is what you earn, actually, through everything that you do. I was very, very, very insecure as a child. Anybody else kind of really insecure? Like, I thought I was the ugliest thing that ever walked the earth. I was told that many times in school. And I had to like turn it around and think it's none of their business if I'm cute or I'm not. And I'm not stupid. I'm dyslexic, so I flip numbers and letters around. So I would do really well in school, and then I would get nervous, and I'd flip the numbers, and I didn't do as well. I had to say, who cares? Think about something that you've overcome, that you as a child overcame, and your confidence grows. Think about it. Have a list of things that you've done, where when you feel sad, you can look at. Your confidence grows. It's wise to have the list. It's wise to open up, to look at the list. Your confidence grows when you do that. This is my take on confidence. And of course, I have to weave intuition into it, because intuition is such a part of my life. It has saved me. It's my best friend next to God. Intuition's my it. Because I know that it will lead me in a certain direction, and I had to have confidence to trust that. And at a certain point, that's all I trusted, really. And then I learned to follow my heart, trust my gut, and use my head. So when I had a lead, when I was confident enough to move forward with an intuitive lead, I would say, okay, I know what my intuition is saying. I know what my gut is saying. That's intuition. My head is saying, yes, this works. And my heart is saying, yes, this works. I went forward and did what I wanted to do. Doesn't mean I always had the outcome that I wanted, but I knew that was the right decision. So I walked forward with confidence. I leaned into my intuition, but I walked forward with confidence. And now, as I'm not necessarily shy, but it's sometimes hard to get up and talk, I just tap right into that. Right into it. You know? Think about that. You guys have a phone? Put notes on it and make a list of the things that you've done that you feel good about. Things that you've done that you were feeling insecure about, and then you decided to do it and you succeeded. Make a list. And when you feel icky, look at the list. Icky, very Minnesota word, by the way. I always say, like that, what we did with the light and how we brought that all in, it makes you sticky for the good instead of sticky for the icky. And my daughter thinks that's hilarious. So do my sons, but it does. And I remember it because I made it rhyme. I just made it work. I had the confidence to just make it work and say it, because I care more about how I feel about what I'm doing and what I'm saying than I do about what you feel. I do care about how you feel, but if I don't feel good about it, it's not going to matter if you do. So it's about feeling connected to yourself, feeling confident in that connection, and tapping into your own wisdom. I think life's more fun that way. Again, with the fun. It's a theme. Because when you have fun, your vibration raises, you're more intuitive, and you make decisions that are more in line with your light and you just enjoy more. Okay, questions about this or anything? Intuitively speaking, I'm not doing readings, but I can answer questions. And I like to. And I see the bubbles above your head, so I know you guys have them.
Well, I'll ask a question. Since I have the microphone, it's easier too. So we all have those times where what you're saying is so spot on. And we want to feel that way, and we want to get up and take that confident action and trust our intuition. But sometimes that voice of the critic, that voice of fear, it seems so loud. What can we do to transition from that voice of fear and insecurity?
Great question.
And find and tap into that higher sense of our spiritual nature?
So imagine that voice that's running in the back of your head, I call it the negative narrator, but imagine that voice is a very adorable little child who's just repeating what they've heard. And if you can look at that and say, oh, that's just that old pattern, that adorable old pattern that I have. And then what you do is you have some phrase in your mind that makes you feel good. Mine is, I am love and light in action. So I didn't ignore the voice. I just put my attention on something positive, and the positive narrator then comes forward. It's a practice to do every single day, all day, in all circumstances. You do it when you wake up from surgery. You do it when you wake up in the morning. You can do it in the middle of the day. That negative narrator that you don't even know has so much power is saying, nana, 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 in the back of your mind, you're not enough. It's all right. Don't hate it. We all have it. Turn your attention to a positive phrase. Open yourself up to that light, and you will notice you more and more have that confidence. You will beam your light. This is what's so cool. We all have this light. We all do. It's that connection with the light of lights, that universal light. We all have it. And when you say nice things to yourself, literally, you have more of your light. And then your intuition can come in because it slides in through that. And you know what else can come in? Your connection with those on the other side. Big bonus, right? If I could divide my clientele into people who never in a million years thought any of this was real, and they lose somebody, and all of a sudden they're open because they love their person so much and want to know that they're okay. And when you're in that place of light and you're feeling your joy, that's where they find you. Because that's where they are. When they're on the other side, that's where they are. Did I answer your question?
That was wonderful. Thank you.
I talk a lot about that negative narrator. In fact, my next book, which I think is going to be coming out quite soon, within the next 6 months, I'm going to drop it on Kindle first. And it's a lot about that negative narrator because, as I said, growing up, I was told I was ugly, I was weird. I had the frizziest hair. Does that surprise anybody? I had this big frizzy hair, and I was overly thin at an age when nobody was supposed to be that thin, and buck teeth. Plus, I didn't really comb my hair because there was a snarl, not exaggerating, this big in the back of my head that I just couldn't reach. This is like from little kid on, this big. So then I would comb this, and then the snarl would stick right here. So maybe, I looked a little awkward, right? Jeez, who's got that relative with like one leg? Keeps popping in. Yeah, she wanted to be acknowledged. She would have liked to have sung. So I write about this negative narrator because we all have it, and I noticed where mine was born. And I started doing things to flip it around as I got older, and doing this work has taught me a lot about it. And you can change your life through the thoughts that you think. So it's not all of it, because it's what we do with what we get that has the biggest impact on us. It's a lot what you do in the back of your mind.
Yeah, is there some way to replace that negative chat box with a positive chat box would be more useful and about the same function?
So you can't really extinguish that voice. You can disempower it by having that turn a phrase, by having a pattern that when you hear that voice that says, I'm not enough, you say things like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Or you have that phrase or that quote that makes you feel good, and you get into the habit of doing that. And I think that's the biggest piece, is that your habit of thought is so important. This doesn't mean if you're having an experience that's dark that you don't acknowledge it. Come on, let's be real here. You totally acknowledge it. Dive in if you need to, so you can just give it some air and work it through. But that voice that says it's never going to be better, that's when you say, well, how do you know? I'm paying attention to this voice, that positive narrator that says, yeah, it'll get better. No matter what, it's going to get better. Because what happens at the very end of your life? You go into the light. So of course it's going to get better. But you can do things for yourself with your thought. Do you remember Louise Hay and the book You Can Heal Your Life? I was such an appetite for this kind of thing as a kid and as a young adult, and still do. I write about things like this. That kind of thing changes people's life, because when you start to say things to yourself like, I approve of myself, which was one of hers, and you start to say things that are just kinder, like you would speak to a child or one of your friends, your life changes. And then the nurse that comes in to stab you and get that blood is an experienced nurse, because you're sticky for the good. You're just sticky. You just gravitate toward people like that, and they gravitate towards you. Which isn't to say if somebody is around you and they're not awesome, it's your fault, or that they're bad. You're just having an experience. But why not change what you can? Why not change what you can? Before you came into this life, you decided many different things, but free will, and there's some things you can't really change, right? Who your parents are, right? Where you were born, what color your hair naturally comes out of your head at what time in your life. There are things you cannot change, but there are things that you can. And one of the biggest ways to do it is through that positive narrator. Again, you can't extinguish the negative narrator. You look at it as this kid, and then you just pay attention to the positive thoughts that you're creating right then and there. And if you don't believe what you're saying, if you're in a negative mood and you're not believing, but you don't want to give that thing power, then you just say to yourself, I don't really believe this, but I'm going to say it. And that lifts your vibe. And it's all you in your head. Oh, there's somebody here with a...
As far as the self-narrator, when you say something like, I am angry, or I am frustrated, it's a lot easier to say, I am feeling frustrated.
Yes.
Or I'm feeling anger. It gives you the allowance of accepting the feeling and letting it go easier.
Yep.
Than stating that I am.
Beautifully said.
Very disempowering to say, I am.
Because then you think you're that solid, that's what you're going to always be. The weird thing about your feelings and your emotions is your feelings just naturally come up. They just naturally do. You cannot control your feelings. You can control what you do with them. There's a story that you tell yourself about what your feelings mean. That's your emotion. So you have a story about what every feeling means, right? Your emotion is that story. So I've given this example many times, and I think it's because I used to pass out from getting shots, literally. And when I unfortunately miscarried my first child, and when I was pregnant the second time and they wanted to take my blood at the doctor's office, I went in there with both arms. Take it away. No fainting, no nothing. I was like, just do it. Because the story I told myself about what that needle meant completely changed. This was about saving the life of my baby. This was about finding out if there was an imbalance in my hormones. And it worked. It worked. And you can't be a fake about it if you don't feel absolutely fabulous. So what? Most of us don't always feel naturally absolutely fabulous every single day. You just say to yourself, well, I don't feel naturally fabulous right now, but I'll get there. Or when you look in the mirror before you leave your house, which I recommend, otherwise your hair is like this, say something nice to yourself. Just say something nice. And every time you walk by a mirror, say something nice. And if you're not in a creative mood, have something in your mind that you say. Put stickies around your house. That's why I did these. That's literally why I did these. And I wrote these for me. These are door hangers. And I actually put them in my car. I am filled with a quiet peace and am now in my now. One of the things that I'll say to myself when that little negative narrator says I look fat in something, because that's one of the things that I would tell myself. So I would just say something positive and disempower that. The more you do it, the more of the habit you have of it, the more natural it is. Okay, somebody else had a question?
That's me. I wonder if you might be able to talk about what tools or modalities you use to increase your intuition and spiritual communication.
So the first one was working through my gunk, the heavy stuff that I had to work out as a child about my childhood, is being willing to work that out. I personally had therapy, and I found a wonderful therapist, and that helped me. Doesn't mean everybody has to do that. Just worked for me, because we all have this little wagon that we pull behind us of all the stuff that we haven't resolved for ourselves that we can't see, but everybody else can that we're involved with. They know it because they're responding to it, and they know we're responding to it. So that was the biggest thing for me, is to clear myself enough that I could feel my insight. I could feel my joy, so I could feel my insight. And then I still do this, I pay attention to how, when I start to feel something come upon me that I know is intuitive, I pay attention very closely to what my body's saying and what pictures are coming up for me, and then I find a way to validate it or not. I pay attention to it, and your confidence starts to grow as you do that. The other thing is, and nobody really likes this because it's not, sexy at all, but if somebody really bugs you, it's more about you than them. So I started looking at when I was bugged and why. And then I started to resolve it in myself. And I wasn't as bothered by other people anymore. So really, it's the self-actualization. It's that spiritual element of knowing myself and choosing when I can, when I have love. That's helped me a lot. And then it's doing exercises like meditation. And I don't mean meditation like this, because that's great. If you guys do that, it's great. It's just, I can't do that. My attention span is that of a gnat sometimes. I just listen to myself breathe. And I can feel myself rise when I do that. And I choose love. So corny, I know. But I do. I choose to think, if I'm getting a bad vibe from somebody, and I'm really good at picking up on that, I just choose to feel like they're not in a great space. I feel really bad about that for them. I don't need to take it on. And it's not about me. And universe, if it is about me, guides, angels, please show me in another way, so I understand that I'm doing something that's irritating, like eating an apple in real estate school, which I did. Nobody threw an apple at me, but I got it. You have to be willing to look at yourself as not perfect and be okay with it and work on that. And that is how I grew my intuition. By growing as a person, by not wanting to be a prisoner to the ugly things that happened to me as a child. That's how I grew my intuition. I know that it'd be more fun for me to toss out crystal balls, and because crystal's great, but that's how I grow it. That's how I still grow it. And you'll notice after you lose somebody, for whatever reason, when you do that emotional work behind it, your intuition grows. To me, that's like an angel getting its wings, like a bell goes off, like, oh my intuition just got better. I understand things more. Because your intuition isn't to use on other people and to read other people, unless that's the choice that you've made. It's to read yourself and make your life better. Thank you. It was a great question. Did I answer your question?
I have one last question, if it's okay to ask this.
Of course.
Probably maybe a 4-hour workshop. So, in 60 seconds, we hear the phrase vibration, frequency, or colors, or vibes, whatever. Many of us don't exactly, what are we supposed to be feeling? Is there a quick intro into how we tap into this world of frequency, vibration, and sound that we can't see and often can't feel?
You can feel it, you just don't know you're feeling it. So that would be my answer, is you do feel it. So you start paying attention to how you feel. And when you know how you feel, because your wagon isn't super full, so you're willing to really have your feelings, then you know when something all of a sudden comes upon you that's very different than what you were feeling 10 seconds ago. And it isn't because someone else came in the room, it's something's come upon you. Pay attention to it and see what it means. Ask questions of your intuition. Pray if you pray. Think positive things, and it'll get louder and louder. It is paying attention to the difference in how you feel. Because we all radiate a vibration. We're all energy. I mean, the chair is energy. So when you understand that you're radiating an energy too, and you know your energy, and all of a sudden it changes, somebody from the other side came in the room, or some insight came to you, or you're picking up on somebody else. That would be how I would do it. Pay attention to how you feel. Thinking is just perfectly great, but it's how you feel that really has the power over you, because what you think impacts how you feel. So it all kind of comes back to how you feel. So you might think something, but then it causes you to feel a certain way. That's why I write about this a lot, because that's why if you start saying things, you know, my sister Cindy was great at rolling her eyes. My grandma used to say, your eyes are going to stay like that if you keep doing that. We practiced and it wasn't true. But you know how people want to roll their eyes when you say something, they're like, oh, seriously? But truly, the things that you think have a lot of power. It's not everything, but it is a lot, and it physically changes you. It chemically changes you. So if you choose either a less grouchy thought or a nice thought, you radiate at a higher speed and you pick up more things intuitively. Being grounded, having boundaries, the most important thing. Nobody was talking about this when I started doing this in the 80s. Nobody. Nobody talked about boundaries and nobody talked about grounding. And it is the most important thing in life, because it's how you make it through your life, is when you know your own space and you stay in your own light. It's how you make it through your life with light. Again, I'm here to have fun. I know not everything is fun, but I want to have fun, right? Why not? Thank you.
Really wonderful, and thank you for, you've been here many times with us and done many events, and as a collective group of people here, we thank you for that.
Thank you.
We know that you have lots of options and things, and to come here and bless us with your wisdom
Thank
and
you.
your insights, we greatly appreciate your doing that. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's one of my greatest
very much.
joys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to take my
Everything is wonderful, everything is great. Free as a bird singing outside my window pane. Got a fresh new start, it's a brand new day, and I got lots of love to give away. It don't matter if it's raining, nothing can faze me. I make my own sunshine. And if you think you can break me, baby, you're crazy. I make my own sunshine. Ooh, 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 ooh. I make my
hands are cold, but my heart is warm. Oh, yes. Uh-oh. Wait, let's do Jewish dancing. Let's do the hora.
We're hiring for a new position, director of the closing circle. Like parking lot people that move cars here and there. Well done, everyone.
All right, this is one of my favorite things to do. So, press your feet into the ground. Listen to yourself breathe. Imagine that white light coming up through your body, coming out the top of your head and surrounding you in an egg-shaped glow, and it's divine love. And say your name to yourself 3 times. And then say, I am love and light in action. I am divinely protected. I am divinely loved. I feel the light. I see the light. I am the light. And then as you press your feet into the ground, imagine that white light and it stays with you forever. Thank you.